is replacing the battery system. Now we use one single battery pack. These in future work will be working on the cosmetic glove in order to hide the prosthesis better. In the future, we want to develop pressure sensors so that the hand can stop when it detects an object. And I invite you to watch a short video of my patient. Just a second, please.
Este es David.
This is David. He's been working with me for 2 years now. He's carrying out a flexion movement of his fingers and extension. And there are a number of antagonistic signals so that he can control his hand. We will see gripping, which is fundamental for hand function. This is real time. This is what he's doing right now. We can observe that he can grasp relatively small objects. It is also possible to look at the degrees of freedom of the artificial hand. Although the 5 fingers move simultaneously, each finger is independent. You can move the individual joints. This means that you can grasp any object, even if it's very irregular, and the rest of the fingers track the shape of the object. The prostheses are not for pressure creation. It's only a natural hand. It doesn't make sense to go beyond nature's endowment. A prosthesis simply assists the good hand. It collaborates with the good hand. We will never replace such a precious element as a human hand. The human hand may create 700,000 movements, and it's going to be pretty difficult to, to go beyond this. We are still working on how to grasp a pencil. And there's one patient who's already on it. This is a rather delicate object. He's not going to destroy it. There is no risk to break the glass. We can see how there's a toast. He can even drink, establishing contact, establishing the right movement of drinking a fluid. When the patient uses a prosthesis, he's been without the limb for 7 years. We need to re-educate the patient. He now has a longer limb than he is used to. So this means much rehabilitation. A comparison between both limbs. We took the anthropometric measurements of the good hand to copy the mechanical one. We want to have the same dimensions. After all, we are all, the palmar fan is different, the phalanges, the sizes, all of this is fundamental for a prosthesis. This is very personal, very custom-made. It's one hand per patient. We are now disconnecting the surface electrodes. Where we simply disconnect the battery pack, and we show that this is a disabled person. This is the patient, David. A very young man. He's 26. This is a demo where we place an extension, and now he can move his hand at will. As to the psychology of the patient, it changes. As soon as they can move their hands, they begin to smile. As you see, the fingers move independently. 20 degrees of freedom, with and without articulation. And this is a writing task. He's now writing down his name. His name is actually Davis. And this is the first time he writes this. Of course, he needs to be taught how to write again. This is without the cosmetic glove. This is my Terminator patient. This is a prosthesis, and it needs to be, not heavier than the human hand. So we don't want the other muscles to become fatigued. So it needs to be light. But this must not be working all the time for these reasons. Okay, so much for the tape. We're about to conclude. These are my conclusions. We've developed an artificially controlled hand with 20 degrees of freedom, 5 articulated fingers. It is endowed with electromyographic sensors. It is totally functional. It is not passive, and it's similar to the natural human hand. I totally disagree with this type of development, where we cannot begin to think that this is a hand. This is only a hook. This is not a hand. The psychological impact for the patient is terrible. Patients do not want to use this prosthesis. This is totally outside nature. So we have the servo motor. We have the card for the different functions, and the battery is not affected by foreign or outside interferences. These are disposable leads. I'm working on more permanent electrodes so that they can last for 20-25 days. An orthopedic specialist helped us develop the support for the prosthesis. It is what joins the patient with the artificial hand. We use computer-assisted design of the solid edge type, and Algor files for the finite element analysis to look at strains and stresses and so on. The functional tests were done for gripping ability. Look at this terrible hook. This hook will not be able to take hold, to take purchase on that round object. And we are trying to work on an exoskeleton for paraplegic patients so that they can get out of their wheelchairs. We want to use a system so that they can deambulate. This is my next project. and I'm waiting for financial support to develop this. But this is my cherished project for the future. For the time being, it's only paper. Questions? Will I show you the demo in a second? Okay. With your permission.